Hayley, is approaching even still okay in an era of masks and social distancing? What modifications would you suggest? So from this question, I'm assuming this is a person who would like to meet people offline as well as online. So remember, when you want to meet someone in 2021, even if we're having an era of masks and social distancing, there's still multiple ways we can meet someone. As I said, first of all, online dating, we're going to have the busiest time of the year ever in January here at Match. So it's so worthwhile having a really great online dating profile that works for you. Secondly, even if our sort of normal day-to-day activities are shut down, there's still online speed dating, there's still online events, there's online dance classes, like the world has gone online. So you could still use social interactions as a way to meet people, even if it's via the internet. Finally, if it's allowable in your area, and of course, we are all having different rules and regulations going about this, it's still okay to say hello to someone. Of course, we always want to maintain our distance when we're saying hello to someone that we don't know. We don't also have our smile to let somebody know that we are non-threatening. So you might want to introduce a wave here, make some eye contact, say hi. And just like any form of connecting with someone, we really want to look for reciprocation. Some people might be happy to chat, others aren't going to feel comfortable doing that. So what you really are looking for is immediately for someone to reciprocate with some good eye contact and say hello back. If not, let them go about their day and keep refocusing on all the people who will be open to meeting you. Second question, how often should you revamp or update your dating profile? Well, as I mentioned during this coaching session, I think it's really, Christmas, what a good time. If we know that busiest time of the year is coming up with online dating, then it's going to be a really good opportunity now to give your profile a good revamp. New pictures are important, not only because they best represent us how we are today, but just photos taken basically on modern cameras have a much better picture quality. So for that reason alone, they tend to stand out and are much more eye-catching. So if you haven't updated your photos in a while, now could be a great time to do that. Also, with revisiting your profile, remember to come from the place of thinking about how you can, write a profile that's more you and that you find more enjoyable. So take a look at that profile. If it's not really sounding like you, if it's not making you smile, it could be a good indication that it's time for a bit of a rewrite. And if you're not somebody who naturally finds it easy to write, a really good workaround for this can be that you actually dictate, you say what you'd like to put down in your profile, and then you write it down afterwards. So definitely get going on that profile revamp over Christmas. Next question. Can you advise on any good virtual dating ideas? For example, have a board game night or online cook-along. Are these the right direction for virtual date activities? First of all, congratulations. I really like how you're trying to be creative. I think that creativity that you bring to your dates will not only make dates more enjoyable for you, but that'll also make them more enjoyable for everybody else. So yeah, board games are good, online chess, or even simple little games like Never Have I Ever or charades can be really fun to play virtually. Online cook-alongs are good. You can also do online watch box sets and follow them online together. And as I said, the world, because of 2020, has gone online. So you could do an online yoga class together. Think about ways that you could maybe do an activity online and then have a bit of a catch up before or afterwards about how that activity was. That will help to fuel the fire of your dates. And again, just make the whole process of dating a more fun and rewarding experience, both for you and for the other person. Oh, okay, I really feel for this person who sent this next question in. They've written, how do I move on and stop running back to my ex, my comfort blanket? So I think to begin with, we're going to have to stop seeing this person as your comfort blanket. Let's rephrase that in your mind, because if someone is your comfort blanket, it seems to indicate that the fact that they're your ex, it suggests that they're not able to give you the love you want, the relationship that you want, the stability you want. So that person would be your comfort blanket. The person who's unable to give that to you is the person who hogs the duvet at night or keeps whipping that comfort blanket away for you or gives it back to you for a little bit and then takes it away again. So I think to begin with, a good step towards moving away from that isn't about finding somebody else to replace that person with. It's probably starting to become more comfortable with developing your independence and being okay being alone. And that can be quite challenging to go through, but it's going to be such a rewarding experience for you. So it might be that when you feel that, like, oh, that nagging urge that you want to reach out and send a message, it could be turn your phone off, spend an evening making a recipe you've never made before, having a nice bath, doing a yoga class, reading a book, whatever it is. And it will feel unnatural to begin with because you might want that touch and that contact and that familiarity. But it's about you starting to develop new habits and routines for yourself where you start to do things differently. And instead of going back to them as a comfort blanket, you start to see yourself and your sanctuary and the time you spend solo. That is your real comfort blanket. So next question. I can't seem to make proper conversations. It all feels really unnatural. Any tips? So I actually really believe that we all have it in us to be really good conversationalists. However, if we don't find it easy to talk to date, it's usually because, again, something in our mindset is getting in the way. If you imagine how you talk to someone who's a close family member or a really good friend, I bet you probably find it easier talking to them than someone that you've just met, particularly if you're attracted to them. So that kind of shows you it's not so much that you can't talk, it's that for whatever reason you don't feel permission to express yourself freely when you're talking to someone you're attracted to. So what it can come back to sometimes is when you're, instead of kind of doubting everything and trying to edit everything you say in your head, sometimes a good first tip can just be to think, I'm going to give myself permission to talk about subjects I'm interested in, to be honest, to be authentic, to be open. Because when we worry about if someone's potentially judging us for what we say, then we can sometimes hold back on information. Instead, if you can start to feel that instead of wanting to impress people, it's actually so much more about a process of getting to know and connecting with the people that you're most compatible with, hopefully that will give you the ability to feel more comfortable expressing yourself and sharing your life, your experiences and your feelings in a way that the other person can then really connect to you and begin to respond. So I'm just checking to see if we have any more questions coming through. Oh, I like this one because it's got the words Prince Charming in it, something I really connect with. So it's a very time-consuming process trying to find Prince Charming. How do I optimize this and be able to invest the time with him, not the process? So a few different parts that we can look at this. So so the first thing I'm going to latch onto there is the idea of trying to find Prince Charming. That to me sounds a little bit like you're doing that all or nothing thing I mentioned earlier on in the session, where you're looking at your dates and you're thinking, is this person Prince Charming or are they not Prince Charming? And if you approach your dates in that way, you're going to have quite a few people that don't fit the Prince Charming bracket. And so therefore the whole process of dating is going to feel like a slog. So going back to what I mentioned earlier about focusing on what you do really like in your dates and finding that abundance and finding things you do like and enjoy in people, even if they're not your ideal match, that's going to be a good part of the process. Also, investing time, as you mentioned, is actually really important. We all would love to have the time shortcut where we don't need to put the time into getting to know someone and we could just have a date with them or look at their online dating profile and know what kind of a person they are or what our relationship could potentially be to them. Unfortunately, though, to really connect with someone, we have to give things time, we have to give people a chance, and we have to take our time getting to know someone. So for you, I would say to probably have different expectations of your first dates, to think about what you like in people, and to allow a bit of time pressure to fall away and to actually get on board with investing your time in getting to know people. And remember as well, that if you're clear about what your values are right from the start, that's going to be the best way that you can filter and connect with the people that are most aligned with you. So this is a long question coming up, people, so listen carefully. Is the coronavirus period we are in creating a new era for the next few years of video dating and video relationships in place of physical relationships? In one sense, it moves towards greater communication, but how long can we expect women to remain interested under this sort of relationship circumstances? Is it better or worse? Your thoughts. So as we know, coronavirus has it's changed the world, hasn't it? But I don't think that all of that change is necessarily been a bad thing. I think taking our time, getting to know people, as you said, investing in communicating with them, not rushing to conclusions, building our emotional intimacy, these are all real positives that I think even when this era is behind us, I think are going to actually continue, hopefully, into the future. I also think it's probably made lots of people reflect on what they really want in life, what their values are, and what they want to do differently. So I expect going forward, people will have better clarity around what their dating relationship goals are, and that can only be a good thing. For the second part of your question, seems to be about how you can keep people interested. And I hear that a lot of the time it can feel concerning when you feel like you've met somebody you really like, but there's not an obvious opportunity to physically meet them anytime in the near future because of good old C19. However, under these circumstances, I want you to remember that the responsibility for keeping that relationship alive, the responsibility for keeping that connection and sustaining that interest, that's really two-way. It's not one-way. So whilst you want to do your best part of setting up those regular video dates, you want to do a good job of communicating, you want to also concentrate on quality communication. So often people will like to have a good phone chat or a nice voice message every now and again, rather than a sort of a good morning or how's the weather near where you are message every single day. So focus on high quality communication and remember that it's not just on you to keep that connection alive. Next question. What is the best way to balance between keeping the relationship light and fun and wanting more of commitment? So I think this is a great question because, first of all, it's great that you have a goal in mind and you know that you really want to have that incredible committed relationship. However, the key is with commitment, obviously it's not a rush to get there, and you really want to commit to someone that you feel that next level of connection with. So it's not find someone, then how do I get them to commit? It's meet someone, enjoy the process of getting to know them, and if your connection builds to a certain level, commitment should really be like, for if the other person wants the same kind of relationship, an obvious next step. So focusing on the process of yourself, enjoying getting to know people, focusing also on enjoying the moment of just starting to get to know someone, creating unique dates for yourself, doing fun and novel things on your video dates. Because at the beginning of the relationship and getting to know someone, that's often what is the most fun and one of the most enjoyable parts of dating. And again, it's about not focusing on the outcome of it needing to form into a committed relationship, but enjoying all of these little mini moments of really getting to know people and having meaningful connections, no matter how long you stay connected for. Then coming also to a place where you can really trust that if you do have this connection and you have invested that time in having these light and fun and good experiences together, then the right people for you, commitment is going to be an obvious next step. They will be moving in the same direction. They might not necessarily move at exactly the same speed as you, but they will move in the same direction as you are. So start to see the commitment thing as an obvious consequence of a great connection and focus on really forging those connections instead. Next question. How do I keep myself motivated to put the effort into sending unique first messages when most people don't respond? So if you're not getting the responses you want at the moment, very important here, let's go back to what I was speaking about earlier in the session, which is about the story. So don't make it that the reason these people haven't responded is because your message wasn't good enough, you're not attractive enough, or anything which really sends a negative message to yourself, especially when you've been doing the good work here of trying to send specific messages to people. So don't see someone not responding as a reflection of yourself. Instead, see someone's level of response as a really good way that they're indicating the level of relationship or openness to a relationship that they're able to give you. So you're looking, it may not be everyone, but it's to also start to really value the people who do write you that message back and who do put that initial piece of investment in, because they are going to be the people you're going to be most able to experience that connection with. How do you get a guy to commit if you're a single parent to a kid? Right, so we're back to commitment. And remember, I'm going to say it again, commitment, we're not in a race to get there. I need you to turn your mindset around. Instead of thinking that in this process of dating that you're the seller and you need to sort of twist someone's arm to commit to you, you really need to start to value yourself and everything that you bring to an interaction. You know, as a mum myself, I can say bringing up a child, you know, that's really, you should feel really good about yourself for the fact that you've been able to do that. It takes so much motivation, so much dedication, so much care, so much love. These are all qualities that you will inevitably also bring into the experience of dating someone. And remember, we don't need everybody to want to be with us. Instead, it's about really appreciating those people who do get our great qualities. So the right person for you is going to look at the fact that you're a single mum to a kid and look on that positively, or the fact that actually when you show your great qualities to them, they're going to fall more for you and be more engaged with you as a result of that. But in order for you to really choose a great partner, in order to do that, it's going to come from a space where you feel an increase in your self-esteem. So don't go into dating thinking like, oh gosh, how do I get them to commit? Or how do I kind of find a way to make someone like me because I'm not so happy with my life? Instead, you need to give yourself a big pat on the back here and start being really proud of what you've achieved and start to have really good standards for who you allow into this incredible life that you already have. Next question. So how can you make a positive impression on the person you're meeting and chatting with? So I agree with positive impressions. Of course, it's always good to remember this is a two-way street and the other person has to also be open to receiving that positive impression. So to create a positive impression, I think there's a few things that always go down really well. First of all, there's some basics like, you know, being on time, also being present, really listening to a person. Often asking questions is also a very powerful way of showing someone that we're being attentive to them and that we're genuinely interested in getting to know them. It's also good to make a positive impression, to be positive about your life. So when you're talking about yourself, really come from that space of, my life is awesome. And if there's things in your life that you don't feel so happy about at the moment, that's, first of all, it's okay and it's normal and we all have things like that. But come from a space of being like, you know, this might not be 100% how I want it to be, but I'm working on it. So act like someone and truly be someone who's in the command of your own ship, who's the master of your own destiny, who's making great choices for yourself, who's a positive person, who's not afraid to compliment other people, who's warm, who's interested, who's a good listener. These are all fantastic ways to make a nice, strong first impression. So next question. I'm a 38-year-old guy and never been in a relationship, partially through choice. How can I build the confidence experience date properly? I haven't got a clue what to open with. First of all, I love the humility with how you wrote this message. You seem really self-aware and really open, and I think those are two good qualities that you can bring to a relationship. So our ability to form a good relationship with someone doesn't necessarily come down to us having had exactly those kinds of relationships in the past. So don't feel like just because you have been single for a long time or you haven't necessarily had a long-term or even a relatively short-term relationship, that doesn't stop you from being able to form that relationship. Arguably, sometimes the times we spend by ourselves where we get to know ourselves really well, we get really comfortable within our own skin, we build up our support networks, all of those things are also valuable qualities which you can then go on to build a relationship. As a start point as well, you probably want to go on this journey and do a bit of research and development about who you're going to connect with best. So see this time not as a time where you find a girlfriend, but as a time where you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to also learn who you connect with best and go into those dates again from that space of abundance where you're like, you know what, even if I just swap a few messages with this woman online, or even if we just go for one video date, I'm still going to learn something from that experience and I'm going to get some enjoyment out of it. With that abundance mindset, it can allow you then to slowly build up your experiences. And remember, confidence really is a result of competence. So the more that we start to do things and the more we engage, the more comfortable we're going to start to feel within ourselves. So even if it feels a bit daunting at the moment, start making those small steps, send that message, ask for that phone number, be a bit bold, because really it's those experience points and the journey which is going to help you complete your research and development and find someone who is incredible for you. So I can't believe it. It's almost Christmas. We're coming to the end of another live coaching session. As ever, I've so enjoyed speaking to you all. You've had amazing questions. I hope I've had helpful answers for you. If we didn't get around to answering your question today, I just want to say myself and everybody at Match read all of your questions. So don't be surprised if you see your question being answered or being the theme of a future session.